Derek Carr has been in the news the last couple of days after him saying that he could possibly unretire for the 2026 season. And Ian Rappaport and many other newsbreakers in the NFL are kind of all in consensus that this is a real thing, given there's a situation that Derek Carr would feel comfortable in. He would like the coaching staff, and he would be looked at as obviously the number one quarterback. A few teams popped into my head as to who I think would be the best options, both for Derek Carr to go there and for that team to sign Derek Carr. I'm going to start off with the team I think is least likely of these six. I think it's the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this is a team that I think is going to be looking to get rid of Kyler Murray. They're going to be looking for a guy that can be, at the very least, a bridge quarterback. But I think Arizona, with the top draft pick this year, with some money in free agency, we could see them being a much improved team from where they were this year. Derek Carr for a year could be a guy that, if he is fully healthy, he could parlay one good year into a 3 or 4 year contract. I think if he is a guy that helps bring Arizona up from being one of the worst teams in the NFL, we could see him be, like I said, another top free agent at the position. The fifth of the six teams that I have is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers are reportedly waiting on making a decision on Aaron Rodgers, mostly because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. I think Pittsburgh thinks that that is a very good possibility. And even if he doesn't, I don't think Pittsburgh is in love with the idea of having Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback again next year, even with Mike McCarthy there as the head coach. Pittsburgh is a really good team. Pittsburgh would be a really good team with Derek Carr at quarterback. They could be a team that could make a playoff push. And again, a lot like the Arizona position, Derek Carr could be trying to parlay a really good 1 year into a long-term extension with someone else or with the team he decides to sign with this year. And I think Pittsburgh would be a team where you could see him be there for a year, get signed to a 2 or 3 year extension that pays him a lot of money, and Pittsburgh, I think, would be happy with that. This next option, I think, is probably the least likely along with Arizona, but I do like the fit a bit more than Pittsburgh. I think it would be kind of funny to see Derek Carr go sign with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are looking for a guy for 1 year to lead this team to either a playoff position or, you know what, even if it's really bad, oh well, when Patrick Mahomes comes back from a torn ACL, you're going to have a really good draft pick to add either to the wide receiver position in 2027, where you're going to have guys like Jeremiah Smith in that draft. And that's honestly a win-win type situation because Derek Carr could either be really good and lead this team on a playoff run in a year where Patrick Mahomes doesn't play, or they'll have a really high draft pick if the move doesn't work out. Again, I think it's just a really easy win-win situation for Kansas City there. The next team I have is Minnesota. Now, Minnesota is quite possibly the best of the six teams that is on this list in terms of the top tier talent that they have. They obviously have Justin Jefferson. They obviously have guys like TJ Hawkinson and Kevin O'Connell at head coach. And so you're looking at Derek Carr coming to this team and being a guy like, they've had guys like Case Keenum. They've had guys like Sam Darnold who come in on, relatively short-term deals, and they take this team to the playoffs, and they end up getting signed to multi-year deals afterwards. I hate to keep bringing that up as if that's what Derek Carr wants, but, I'm sure it wouldn't hurt to get a long-term extension after a really good year. I think Minnesota, obviously, statistically, Derek Carr would have a guy who could get him 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns by himself. And if the rest of the team is playing well, then, like I said, it could really help Derek Carr in the future. The next team I have is the Indianapolis Colts, a team pretty similar to Kansas City. They're going to be without their starting quarterback, Daniel Jones, for at least most of 2026, if not all of it. And Derek Carr for 1 year. There already were rumors when Indianapolis brought in Phillip Rivers for that 5 or 6 game stretch that they were calling up Derek Carr. And I think that was really the first kind of bit of news that we got that Derek Carr was even considered by teams or was considering teams. And so I think it would make a lot of sense for that to be a move that happens. I think the team probably would enjoy having a really stable option, even for just a year. That's a really stable option to have in Derek Carr. Now, the number one team I have, it's probably a bit of a shocker, but I have the Las Vegas Raiders being the number one team that could sign Derek Carr. I think it would make a lot of sense on a lot of fronts. The first off is, yes, you're going to draft Fernando Mendoza still number one overall in this year's draft. And whatever you want to say about sitting rookies their first year and just having them watch, maybe play 1 or 2 games at the end of the year, but they're going to watch and they're going to learn how to be an NFL quarterback. That could be something that's really beneficial for Fernando Mendoza. We saw Patrick Mahomes with Kansas City obviously turn into one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, in NFL history already. And while that's a big jump to say that Fernando Mendoza could be the next Patrick Mahomes, I just think that you're setting that up to be a better possibility. If you bring in somebody like Derek Carr, he obviously has ties to the franchise. He obviously is somebody that is of that veteran presence that I think that team wants. And whether you want to really say it or not, the Las Vegas Raiders are not a team that's equipped to bring in a rookie quarterback and possibly ruin him before they turn him into something really good. This team still doesn't have an offensive line. This team still doesn't really have a receiving core. This team still really doesn't have a defense, and there's a chance that they're going to trade Max Crosby. So I think if you sign Derek Carr for the year, and again, maybe you end up playing Fernando Mendoza week 15 and on if the season's already a wash, but this gives you a chance to slowly bring Fernando Mendoza along instead of just throwing him into the fire with, like I said, a team that could possibly ruin him before he turns into something really good for them. That's going to be the video. Make sure you like it. Make sure you comment down below if there's a team I didn't mention that you think would be a really good fit for Derek Carr. And I'll see you in the next video.